You know that feeling when you're doing everything right, fasting, tracking, being disciplined. Yet the scale just won't move. You start wondering if something's wrong with you, if maybe your body is broken. I've been there too. I used to believe that as long as I wasn't eating, I was fasting correctly. I followed all the rules, skipped meals, powered through hunger. But nothing changed. My belly fat stayed exactly where it was, and my energy kept crashing. What I didn't know then was that there's one tiny habit, something most people do without realizing, that completely flips your body's switch from fat burning to fat storing. It silently raises your insulin, stalls your metabolism, and keeps you stuck in that frustrating cycle of plateau after plateau. And no one talks about it because on the surface, it seems harmless, even healthy. But once I discovered this, it was like unlocking a secret code. Fasting suddenly started to work. My cravings disappeared, my energy returned, and the stubborn fat that clung to my waistline finally began to melt off. That's when I realized fasting isn't really about not eating. It's about what's happening inside your body when you do. It's hormonal. It's biochemical. And one small shift in how you fast can make all the difference. Have you ever hit that wall when fasting used to work? But now it doesn't matter how long you go without food, your results have completely stalled. When I first started fasting, I thought the longer I could go without eating, the better my results would be. It felt logical. No food means no calories, right? But over time, something strange started to happen. My body stopped responding. I felt anxious. My sleep got worse, and my weight stalled completely. It didn't make sense until I learned the science behind why fasting can actually backfire. You see, your body doesn't just burn fat because you skip meals. It burns fat when it feels safe enough to do so. When fasting is done the wrong way, too long, too often, or paired with certain habits like excessive coffee or artificial sweeteners, your body perceives it as stress. And stress triggers one powerful hormone known as cortisol. Cortisol isn't bad. It's the hormone that keeps you alert and energized in short bursts. But when it stays high for too long, it raises your blood sugar, even if you haven't eaten a bite. Think of it like this. Your body is saying, "We're starving. Release sugar so we can survive." That sugar spike pushes insulin up, and insulin's job is to store energy, not burn it. It's like flipping the lock on your fat cells, a fat lock effect that traps energy inside no matter how little you're eating. Now, pair that with a morning fast where you load up on black coffee or a zero-calorie sweetener. It feels harmless, even smart. But for many people, that caffeine surge without food triggers cortisol again. Add a splash of stress, poor sleep, or over-exercising on top of it, and your body's stress response compounds. It's like your system is shouting, "Protect the fat, we're under attack." The truth is, fasting isn't just about not eating. It's about creating the right hormonal environment for your body to want to burn fat. When you fast too aggressively, your metabolism doesn't slow down because it's broken. It slows down because it's trying to protect you. That's your body being intelligent, not defective. There's also something called metabolic flexibility, which means your body's ability to switch between burning sugar and burning fat for fuel. When this flexibility is lost, often because of stress, sleep deprivation, or over-fasting, your body gets stuck in sugar burning mode. So even when you're fasting, your body doesn't efficiently tap into stored fat. Instead, it keeps signaling hunger, fatigue, and cravings for carbs because it's desperate for a quick energy source. Imagine your metabolism as a hybrid car. When everything's balanced, it smoothly switches between electricity, fat, and gas sugar. But if one system is overworked, say too many stress signals or too little recovery, it can't switch properly. You can press the gas pedal all you want, but the car just sputters. That's what fasting too hard or too often does to your metabolism. And here's the most surprising part. This hormonal stress can actually mimic the symptoms of insulin resistance. You'll see higher fasting blood sugar, increased cravings, stalled weight loss, even though you're eating less than ever. Many people mistake this as my metabolism is broken, when really their stress hormones are just running the show. So when fasting stops working, it's not because your body has failed you. It's because it's trying to protect you from more stress, Once you calm the cortisol and balance insulin, your fat-burning system switches back on almost effortlessly. You start feeling more stable energy, fewer cravings, and the weight begins to move again, not because you're fasting harder, but because you're fasting smarter. Have you ever noticed that when you're under stress, not sleeping, pushing yourself too hard, or extending your fasts, your progress suddenly halts, even if everything else stays the same? Do you think stress or over-fasting might be quietly stalling your results right now? I used to think that what mattered most about fasting was how long I could fast. I thought the magic was in the hours I went without food. But over time, I realized something shocking. It wasn't the fasting window that was holding me back. It was how I broke the fast. That single moment when I reintroduced food had the power to either extend my fat-burning state or completely shut it down. Most people don't realize that the first thing you eat after fasting is like flipping a hormonal switch. Your body is ultra-sensitive during that moment. Your insulin, your blood sugar, your digestive enzymes are all waiting for a signal. So when you break a fast with foods that spike insulin, like dairy, artificial sweeteners, or even healthy carbs like oatmeal, fruit, or protein bars, you trigger a rebound effect. Your insulin shoots up fast, your blood sugar follows, and your body switches out of fat burning mode immediately. It's like this: imagine your body as a furnace that's been burning pure fat for fuel all day. The moment you toss in sugar or insulin, spiking foods, it's like dumping water on that fire. It fizzles out, you lose your momentum. That's why so many people feel hungrier, more tired, or crave carbs right after eating. It's not because fasting failed, it's because the re-feed broke the hormonal rhythm your body had worked so hard to build. I learned this the hard way. I used to reward myself after a long fast with things like cream in my coffee, a low-carb snack with sweeteners, or even a banana because I thought it was natural and clean. But each time, I'd notice the same pattern. Cravings would hit, energy would dip, and by evening, I'd be raiding the fridge. Once I understood the science behind it, everything clicked. Those honescent foods were spiking insulin and telling my body, stop burning fat, start storing again. So what's the right way to do it? The answer is surprisingly simple. Break your fast with pure protein and fat. Think of things like eggs, beef, salmon, or a lean steak cooked in butter. When you reintroduce food this way, insulin stays stable, blood sugar remains level, and your body keeps burning fat even after you've eaten. It's like easing off the gas pedal slowly instead of slamming the brakes. You stay in ketosis longer, your energy stays steady, and you don't experience that rebound hunger that usually derails your day. Here's why it works so beautifully. Protein gives your body the amino acids it needs to rebuild and repair, while fat provides slow, burning energy that doesn't spike insulin. The combination tells your metabolism, we're safe, we're nourished, keep burning fat. Your body shifts from a stressed, reactive state into a calm, fat, adapted rhythm. You feel satisfied, focused, and you don't need to fight cravings all afternoon. It's such a small change, but it changes everything. The difference between breaking your fast with a protein and fat meal versus a carb, heavy one, can mean the difference between staying in fat, burning mode for hours, or losing all your progress in minutes. And once you experience how stable, calm, and focused you feel after breaking your fast correctly, you'll never want to go back. Think about the last time you ended your fast. Did you grab something quick, something healthy, or maybe something sweetened to make it easier? How did you feel afterward? Were you satisfied, or did the hunger and fatigue creep back an hour later? When I finally understood why my fasting results had stalled, I realized the fix wasn't about fasting longer or restricting harder. It was about one simple, strategic shift: how I broke my fast. The trick that instantly changed everything was starting every post-fast meal with pure protein and fat. No carbs, no sweeteners, no dairy at first, just clean, high-quality fuel that keeps your metabolism humming and your fat-burning switch turned on. Here's what happens inside your body when you do this. After fasting, your insulin levels are low, your body is primed to burn fat, and your muscles are slightly catabolic, meaning they're ready to soak up nutrients. If you give your body protein first, Those amino acids go straight to repairing muscle tissue and replenishing what's been used up during the fast. This does two amazing things. It protects lean muscle, which keeps your metabolism high and signals your body that it's safe to stay in fat burning mode. Protein is also a major driver of leptin sensitivity. Leptin is the hormone that tells your brain you're full and your metabolism can keep burning. When you eat protein and fat first, you stabilize your hunger hormones naturally. You won't feel that intense post-fast hunger that leads to overeating or binging. Instead, you feel calm, satisfied, and mentally sharp, the exact state where fat loss happens easily. When you combine that with healthy fats like butter, tallow, or salmon fat, you create a slow, steady energy source that keeps insulin low. Insulin, as you know, is the key switch for fat storage. Keeping it steady means your body stays in ketosis, or what I like to call fat-fueled mode. Even after eating, your body continues to use fat for energy instead of switching back to sugar. It's like teaching your metabolism to run clean and efficiently instead of constantly stalling out. The beautiful part is that this approach is incredibly simple to apply. You don't need fancy ingredients or long recipes. It can be as easy as starting your meal with a few boiled eggs, a small steak, or some salmon cooked in butter. If you're busy, a few bites of ground beef or leftover meat from the night before works perfectly. The key is to give your body protein and fat first, before introducing anything else. If you want to add carbs or vegetables later, fine, but only after your system has stabilized with those nutrient-dense, fat-burning foods. For example, here's a quick reset meal you can use after fasting: a few eggs cooked in butter or ghee, a small serving of beef, lamb, or salmon, maybe a spoonful of bone marrow or avocado for added fat. That's it. No fancy supplements, no complicated timing. You'll feel the difference almost immediately. Steady energy, no sugar crash, no cravings, no bloating. It's the kind of meal that makes you feel light but strong, full but focused. If you're on the go, keep it even simpler. Have a small container of cooked beef patties, a hard-boiled egg, or even a few slices of leftover steak ready in the fridge. Eat those as your first bites after fasting, even if it's just a few minutes before your main meal. That small habit trains your metabolism to stay in fat-burning mode and prevents the blood sugar spike that ruins so many fasting results. And here's the best part: when you start doing this, you'll realize you don't need to push yourself into longer, harder fasts anymore. You don't need to suffer through exhaustion or hunger to see results, because this method works with your hormones, not against them. You'll finally start burning fat efficiently without the rebound, cravings, or crashes that used to sabotage your progress. For the longest time, I believed that weight loss was just about eating less and moving more. If I could just cut calories and fast longer, I thought the fat would melt off automatically. But no matter how much I restricted, my body seemed to resist. That's when I learned the truth that completely changed how I saw fat loss. It's not about how little you eat, it's about how, as often, you trigger insulin. Insulin is the body's master energy regulator. Whenever you eat, especially foods containing carbs, dairy, or sweeteners, insulin rises. And when insulin is elevated, your body can't burn stored fat. It's biologically impossible. Think of insulin as a traffic light for fat loss. When it's green low, your body burns fat freely. But even small spikes turn the light red, halting fat burning instantly. You could be in a fasted state all day, but one wrong bite or sip can flip that switch off in seconds. This is why so many people get frustrated with fasting. They fast for hours, then break it with something that triggers a sharp insulin spike, maybe cream in their coffee, yogurt, or even a low-carb bar. It feels harmless, but hormonally, it's enough to shut down fat oxidation. You might still be fasting by the clock, but metabolically, your body has switched back into storage mode. That's where the difference between fasting only and fasting with insulin control comes in. Fasting by itself lowers insulin temporarily, but if your meals afterwards spike it right back up, you lose all the benefits. On the other hand, when you pair fasting with a low insulin, carnivore style meal plan, meals centered around protein and fat, you extend the fat burning window naturally. Your insulin stays stable even after you eat, meaning your body continues burning fat around the clock. Here's how it works When you eat protein and fat without carbs or dairy, there's minimal insulin release. Your body stays in a state of fat oxidation, breaking down stored fat for energy instead of relying on glucose. Over time, this trains your metabolism to become more as is insulin sensitive, meaning it needs less insulin to manage blood sugar, and fat loss becomes effortless. You're no longer fighting your hormones, you're working with them. Now, contrast that with the typical fasting pattern most people follow. They'll fast all morning, have coffee with cream, maybe a protein shake with sweeteners, then a large, balanced meal with carbs later in the day. Insulin spikes several times in that short window, and the fat burning process keeps starting and stopping like a car stuck in traffic. No wonder progress feels so slow. The body never gets a long, consistent stretch of low insulin to unlock stored fat. When you shift to controlling insulin instead, everything changes. Imagine your metabolism as a dimmer switch instead of an on-off button. Every time you eat clean, protein first and fat-fueled, you turn the brightness of fat burning higher and higher. But each time you add in something that spikes insulin, even something small like milk and coffee or keto snacks, that brightness dims again. Fewer spikes mean more consistent fat burning, smoother energy, and fewer cravings. Science backs this up completely. Studies show that reducing insulin spikes increases zero-lipolysis, the breakdown of stored fat, even without cutting calories. That's why people who focus on hormonal balance rather than pure restriction often lose more fat and feel better doing it. It's not about suffering through hunger or punishing your body. It's about creating the internal environment that makes fat loss natural. What's really exciting is how quickly you can feel the difference. When insulin stays low and stable, energy becomes steady, hunger fades. The need to snack disappears because your body finally trusts that it has access to stored fuel. That's what true metabolic freedom feels like. Not fighting your biology, but flowing with it. So the next time fasting feels like it's not working, remember this: the real key isn't fasting harder, it's mastering insulin control. Every stable meal, every carb-free choice, every time you skip dairy or sweeteners, you're teaching your body to stay in fat-burning mode longer. That's when results start compounding quietly, consistently, and powerfully. Have you ever noticed that when you cut carbs or dairy during fasting, your results suddenly accelerate? Your energy rises, your cravings vanish, and the fat finally starts to move again. When fasting stops working, most people assume they need to push harder. Longer fasts, fewer meals, more restriction. But that's not the fix. The truth is your metabolism doesn't need punishment. It needs a reset. When your body's hormones have been thrown off from stress, over fasting, or insulin spikes, the fastest way to restart fat burning is to restore balancing. That's exactly what I call the ASK metabolic reset formula, a simple step-by-step approach to calm your system, lower cortisol, and turn your fat burning switch back on. The first step is ours, hydration, but not just plain water. After days or weeks of fasting inconsistently, your body may be depleted of electrolytes, which are crucial for proper thyroid, adrenal, and metabolic function. Start your day with mineral-rich water. Add a pinch of sea salt, a squeeze of lemon, or even electrolytes with no sweeteners. This stabilizes blood volume, helps cortisol drop, and signals to your body that it's safe to start burning fat again. Hydration isn't about quenching thirst, it's about restoring cellular energy. Next, focus on ours protein first refeeding. The biggest mistake people make after fasting is breaking it with insulin spiking foods, which we've already seen shuts down fat oxidation. Instead, start every meal with protein and fat: eggs, beef, salmon, sardines, or lamb. These foods tell your body, we're nourished, we're safe. When your body feels safe, cortisol naturally lowers, digestion improves, and your metabolism ramps up. Protein also supports your thyroid and muscle tissue, both of which are critical for long-term fat burning. The third step is consistent fasting window stay. One of the reasons fasting can stall is because people keep changing their eating windows. One day they fast 20 hours, the next only 12. That constant fluctuation confuses your metabolism and adds stress. Choose one window, 16-8 or 18-6, and stick to it consistently for at least 2 weeks. This rhythm allows your body to regulate hormones like leptin, ghrelin, and insulin predictably. You'll start to notice steadier energy, less bloating, And better sleep because your system finally trusts your schedule. Speaking of sleep, this is the Ezra's fourth piece of the formula, and maybe the most underrated. When you're underslept, your cortisol rises and your body becomes more insulin resistant overnight. That means your fat-burning hormones are already at a disadvantage before you even start fasting. Fixing your sleep doesn't just help recovery, it amplifies fat burning by aligning your circadian rhythm with your eating rhythm. A great habit is to finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed and sleep in a cool, dark room. You'll wake up feeling lighter, less inflamed, and more energized. Finally, remember that this reset isn't about calorie restriction. It's about hormonal correction. When your hormones are balanced, fat loss becomes effortless. Cortisol goes down, insulin stays steady, leptin signals properly, and your metabolism naturally starts burning fat again, even while you sleep. That's why people who follow this approach often report waking up leaner, calmer, and more focused without feeling deprived. What's beautiful about this formula is its simplicity. You don't need extreme fasting windows or complicated diets. Just hydrate deeply, replenish electrolytes, break your fast the right way, stick to a consistent rhythm, and prioritize rest. Within days, you'll notice hunger normalizing, cravings fading, and energy returning. Your body isn't fighting you anymore. It's working with you. Once your metabolism feels safe and supported, it begins to thrive. You'll see the signs: warm hands and feet, deep sleep, stable energy, steady weight loss. These are proof that your hormonal environment has shifted from survival mode to fat burning mode. That's what a true reset feels like. Not exhaustion, but relief. When I look back at my own fasting journey, I can see exactly where I went wrong. I treated fasting like a punishment instead of a partnership with my body. I used to believe that the more I pushed, the more I'd lose. But eventually, the hunger, the fatigue, and the emotional burnout caught up with me. That's when I realized fasting isn't supposed to drain you. It's supposed to free you. The key to long-term success isn't fasting harder. It's fasting smarter and more flexibly. The people who maintain their results for years are never the ones doing the most extreme fasts. They're the ones who listen to their bodies, adjust when needed, and use fasting as a tool, not a rule. They've learned how to flow between fasting and feasting without guilt, using simple principles like protein prioritization, stress management, and metabolic rhythm. Let's start with flexible fasting, the foundation of sustainability, instead of rigidly sticking to the same window every single day. They shift between 16, 8, 18, and 6, or even a relaxed 14, 10 when stress or recovery demands it. The goal isn't to fast perfectly, it's to stay consistent long term. This flexibility keeps cortisol low and metabolism high because the body never feels chronically deprived. When you stop treating fasting as a rigid cage and start using it as a supportive rhythm, your results not only continue,